So I gave myself a job of making a summary video for you guys. I think some of you thought I was going to send you a link. I do not know a summary video anywhere, but I'd like to share according to what I learned, and I took notes, so you might see me reading from my book here. Please relax. Anyways, the richest man in Babylon. I have had so many people who are knowledgeable in finance and all things financial, all things money, all things whatever, recommend this book so many times. I do not know, like there are many, like most wealthiest men in the country, in the world, who recommend this book. This book is a very, very old book, and why I like it is it presents these financial principles in form of stories. It's not teaching you formulas, it's not teaching you like complicated maths. It's just telling you simple stories, simple parables that give you these like core financial principles that you have probably had before, but you've never really had like that, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, let's start. So this book was written by George Clayson. I hadn't heard of him before this book. I don't think I've read any other book by him, but it was written in the 1920s. And so also, like, if you're not very interested in, it uses old English, and also the setting is in a city called Babylon, so it really uses like even names that are not relative. They're not like names that you probably will hear, but it's very, very interesting. It's very timeless. Like, the principles that were written way back in 1926 are relevant today, and you'll see why. But it follows a story of a man who used to be very poor. His name is Arcad, and Arcad became rich eventually. And so there are these two people talking, and they're like, but that guy used to be like us, let's go and ask him for wisdom. So he starts off the book by he tells a story of how he became rich, and he's like, let me give you he calls the 7 cures of a lean pass, how to cure yourself from having a small bag, these days we call it the bag. We're chasing the bag. Anyways, the very first one, which I'm going to, and it is the language which is used is like, start thy purse to fattening. That's what it says. But basically it means pay. It's I think it talks about paying yourself first. Paying yourself first looks like how? Paying yourself means that a portion of your money belongs to you. And why do we say that? Why do we even say that? When you get money, most of the time, you have this bill, you have that bill, you have the other bill, you have the other bill, and the money is going to everybody else's pocket except yours. So what it is saying, actually, for him, what he was advising is, pay yourself first. This is what he says: a part of all you earn is yours to keep. And what he was advising is like, always keep 10%. And for other people, it's a different percentage. But so that you don't strain yourself, I'd say start with the lowest amount that you can. As long as you're able to get off a certain amount of money before you spend it on anything else, you've started. So you've started fattening your purse. And that's what he says. When you put in one today, tomorrow you add another one, tomorrow you add then the day after that you add another, and it becomes big. So that's how you start the journey of that. This is like a book that was written in the 1920s, and I really feel like so many financial coaches and whatever use these to teach today. Seriously, I've had so many people talk about this. Pay yourself first. This guy said, start to thy purse fattening. Okay, so the second cure is what we're going to see. But the second cure is control thy expenditures. Now, what they say, first of all, when I had talked about, when you save the money, when you pay yourself, that is saving. Basically, when you save the money, keep it somewhere before you invest it. Keep growing it, and up until it gets to a considerable amount. The idea is to get to a point where you have learned how to save, like it is now muscle memory. But the second thing is control the expenditures. Now, controlling your expenditures is very important, and it actually will help you even fatten your purse, because if you don't control your expenditures, how are you going to fatten your purse? Okay, so actually even says in the book, what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest. I remember one of my first bosses in life, I remember him telling me, people always complain about salary, 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 salary. But do you know that every time you get an increase in salary, your standard of living changes? And this is exactly what they're talking about this situation. They're like, if you don't control your expenditures, they will grow with your income unless you protest, unless you say no. And the truth is, you guys, this is like, if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with yourself, you know that every time you get an increase. I have friends that we've been talking about finances lately, and they talk how whenever they don't have money, enough money, like they're hard, that like they're, you know, funds are tight, they, life goes on, they figure out how to live with almost nothing. But when money comes, what they're telling us, your expenditures grow with your income. You somehow find what to do. Yet you survived before without that money. And the thing is, we need to protest. That's what they're trying to tell us here. You need to protest your expenditures. Otherwise, you'll never have anything to fatten your purse. Does that make sense? So when we look at this, the idea is between wants and needs. It comes down to wants and needs. I think we all, until you understand what your wants are and your needs are. I recently heard Pumla talk about this on an interview she did. Until you differentiate between wants and needs, you will not know what your expenses are. So basically a simple way to do it, get your income, first deduct your 10% or whatever percentage you want to pay yourself, then write down budget, write down your expenditures. My dad has been hard on me, I think, at my siblings, everybody, about budgeting since we were kids. Like, I remember he used to be like, draw a table, show me what you're using, like a simple budget about how to use. And to this day, I budget every single coin that I get, every single coin. The times that coins go out of I feel guilty if I do not know where a single coin went. Like, I feel so guilty. Like, that's, I aspire to be like that, like myself. Like, budget, and also be honest, to be like, I don't have that in my budget. I don't have that in my budget. Like, we desire to be supportive and to help and do things and to have, you know, our needs met, but even our wants met. I think budget your wants. Budget your wants. And I think we'll talk about it later. I can hint about it later, but you can budget your wants. The things that are needs. Needs, I would say today, in today's age. Like for me, a single lady, would be your rent, would be your utilities, like major utility, like water, electricity. Today, internet is also a need. It's actually a need, especially if it helps you get money. You need to budget for it, for that, and other things. For some people, laundry is, they can do it themselves, so that's not a need. For other people, things like what you cook at home, you don't eat out. Okay, that food is a need. Eating out is a want. You get the difference. What other things would I say, that kind of thing. Like, you need to differentiate what your wants are and your needs are, and then you budget your expenses. That the needs, not the wants. Okay, you first put down the needs first. If you're able to keep your needs at a minimum, your expenditures at a minimum, trust me, you're going to grow your fat your you're going to fatten your purse in no time. I guarantee you. Yep. I remember my dad, I think, is my greatest financial coach. My dad would tell me what saving is. Saving is not about, oh, I've paid. Now I am remaining with this. Now that I'll save. He would do an action of a belt, tightening a belt. He's like, it's about tightening the belt. It's about, lowering your expenditure. Protest the rising of your expenditures. Number three, because that's where we ended, is this is The Richest Man in Babylon, The Seven Cures to a Lean Pass. Number three on that list was make thy gold multiply. So the point to this is, number one, we have fattened our pass. Number two, we have managed our expenditures. Number three is like, now you have enough to multiply, right? And so basically, multiplying is putting your money in investments. With all the inflation, just saving money is no longer enough. You have to make it multiply. In fact, in the book, there is a line where he found ways to use his savings to earn more through trade, through lending, and through enterprise. But he talked about, there is a time that he goes into detail about the kind of investments he made. Number one, they had to be safe. Number two, they have to be understood. And number three, they have to be able to bring steady returns. The best thing that I've known to work like that are unit trusts. Or if you have big money, put it in, like, go actually and buy like the actual treasury bonds or treasury bills from the government. Like, get set up on your own, and you get even a higher, like, a higher interest rates. But I know now, like, different funds will have these, investment companies have these trust funds that can help anybody from as low as 100K. I've had, like, even there's, I think it's NSSF that allows up to 10K, and you can earn interest on that person. I'm going to tag a person that I know that talks about investment and finance, and he describes the whole scene in Uganda and how you can make your gold multiply. I love him. He's very simple and he's very straightforward. But make your gold multiply. And anyway, for some people, they go and make and do business. That is another way to do it. One last thing, he talked about not chasing get rich quick schemes. He said that he talked about a specific guy who went and gave his money to someone who was buying, I think it was he was kusubularing something, and the guy went with his money, but he saw like this was going to be a get rich scheme. And I think we know those, we've fallen. I'll tell you a story one time when I'm over the trauma where I fell victim to this, and this was a very, like, orderly and organized get rich scheme. It wasn't really get rich really scheme, but I invested in something that really was not authorized by Capital Markets Authority and that kind of thing, and so I lost money. Don't look for get rich quick schemes. Don't. I have a feeling that, I was telling a friend that I think that is a rite of passage for anyone who is on this road of understanding finances and trying to get stable finances. That I think that is a rite of passage. Like, somebody, like, I don't know anybody who hasn't been frauded, who hasn't been lied to in that way, who hasn't, like, you fall prey to these things at one point. I'd like to hear your experiences, but I have once, and I won't get fooled again. Anyway, but invest. This is all about making your gold multiply. So number 4 of the 7 ways to cure a lean purse, we're looking at the richest man in Babylon. There I've talked about number 1, fatten thy purse. Number 2, make thy expenditures, make them less, make your expenditures less. Number 3, invest. Number 4 is guard thy treasures from loss. Now, we've talked about investing and compounding, how compounding has power, has, it has the idea that the power to help you fatten your purse. Now, I also hinted about thy investments, like the way I'm speaking in thy, but the way you do your investment. I talked about how you should make sure that they are wise investments. Don't look for get quick rich schemes. But the lesson here is protect your hard-earned wealth. It's not just about making money, it's about keeping it. One of the things for me that I have tried to do is just keep myself aware of finance related things. Like, I love to listen to anybody who I know is wise that's speaking about finances. I want to have knowledge, to grow my knowledge, to, like, all those, like, always read, always listen, always, whatever you feed your mind, you always be alert. Okay, alert to these things. So basically, educate yourself. But secondly, guard your investments. We talked about guarding your investment or investing with caution. We talked about it being safe. We talked about it being understood very well, like you understand very well, but also not those get rich quick schemes. But the last thing is seek wise counsel. I always get counsel from people who have more money than me. I'm not asked, especially when it comes to money. I always ask people who have been in this thing, and they know they know how they've worked their way here to where they are now. So and always don't be ashamed. One of the people that I always ask for me, that I feel like I've established as my financial advisor for free, is my dad. But now, interestingly, I also advise him. I advise him, but he never takes my advice. for good reason. I don't have more money than he does. Anyways, look for people that can advise you, that can help you know where to put your investments. So we are looking at the fifth cure of a lean pass. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Basically, what they're saying is don't get out of renting and get your own place, like get your own house. And they break it down. They're saying save for it. Use the 10% rule where you save 10% towards that goal, and that is specifically for owning a home. And then choose wisely when you're buying a home, meaning don't buy something that is out of your budget. One of the things that I've learned the most is living below my means. That was number 2. I don't think I emphasized it enough. Never, ever, ever, ever live above your means. I mean, never live above your means. I think that is our biggest issue in life. And even like that is our biggest issue with money. We love to go above what we can actually afford. You're supposed to live below what you make, way below what you make. At least 50, live within 50% at most. But you should be at least at 40 or whatever. That's the goal. But anyways, the idea is even for your own dwelling, your home, make sure you're not going out of your budget, because a bigger house, that's bigger upkeep. Now, I was telling you about the fact that I had different things about it. I was listening to one of the NSSF, they usually do these meetings, there's online teaching, yeah, they educate us. And he was talking about when you get your NSSF money. And he said, by that time, if you haven't bought a house, if you haven't bought a house, built a house, don't start at that point. And that's why it's important to start when you're working, such that when you're in retirement, first of all, retirement will require you to go and check on this. Every time you're on the site, you are a 70-year-old, 60-year-old going to the site. You've not experienced this. You don't know. It's grueling. It's grueling. And so he was saying, find something that you can rent within your means, within your package, and don't waste time building. I don't know, if you have children, at that point they're grown and they probably have their own thing. So probably you have land, you have something that you can leave them. That's the plan. Hopefully you do. But anyways, that was something that they said that you might run into an issue where if you start building at that age, it's a struggle. But if you're younger, start now. I haven't started thinking about building because my mom told me that's the man's job. So, Mr. Man, are you building? I hope you are. I'll support you. It will be our money, like my dad said. Anyways, invest in a home. Today I'm finishing all these cures, at least the cures part, and then we'll look at the other part later, the other part of the book. So number 6, sorry. Number 6 is ensure a future income. So basically, how do you ensure a future income? How do you ensure an income when you're no longer able to work? So number 1, you invest in long-term assets. This could be like real estate. I think Ugandans were good at this. Like even from when you're young, you're looking into land, you're looking into buildings, you're looking into houses, you're looking into, you're looking into different investments that are long-term. And most people that think that way, it helps them in the long run, okay? Because those things, they appreciate in value. They might be hard to liquidate, but they appreciate, obviously because the more they appreciate, the more expensive they become. So it's difficult to liquidate. But just know, you always get somebody to buy those things. The other thing is plan for retirement. Find a way to don't solely lean on your income. So the investments we talked about, I think in number 3, do more of those. Diversify. The other thing is diversify your sources of income. Ecclesiastes talks about having 6 or 7 income streams. You guys have as many income streams, multiple income streams as possible. So the thing is, this will reduce the risks and it keeps the cash flowing. It keeps cash flowing. One good thing that the government has done for us, that is if we actually will ever get it, is NSSF. And I know people who, even though they are not in formal employment, they still send money there. And by the way, just telling you this, NSSF has some of the highest interest rates in the country on your investments. Enough said. Enough said. So remember that the goal is to create an army. That's what he calls it in the group. In the book, an army of golden slaves. Golden meaning mullah. Golden slaves that will work for you when you can't anymore, when you stop working. So that is the sixth one. We're going to see the seventh. Increase thy ability to earn. Basically, just make yourself a valuable asset. There is a statement that they tell us that the most valuable asset you have is yourself. And if you invest in yourself, like, what could go wrong? I mean, you bet on yourself. When you bet on yourself, everything goes well. So how do you do that? You look for every single way to learn more. I talked about that in the previous cure. Learn as much as you can about money, about finance, about invest in yourself. So you can read books, you can take courses, you can find a financial coach, you can familiarize, get into networks. That's one of the things that I have actually here. Build networks and relationships around you that help you grow money. The way I'm passionate about this, I still don't have a good network. I need like a foolproof network. Somebody said, whatever money you need, you should get it within the first 6 people in your circle. Is that possible? Say if you need 50 million today alone for something, you should be able to get it in your network. I was like, I'm looking. I know some really good people and my friends that would move heaven and earth to find me that money. But yeah, I there is one of my friends that we do this with. We're not like wealthy or whatever, but we're not wealthy, like I said, but we love to invest in ourselves in that way. We love to invest in our mind, in our money, in like, okay, what do you know now? Okay, what are you using this skill that you have for? How can you use this? How can you make more money? I have another friend who recently told me, you used to have dreams. What happened to them? I love that kind of people who challenge me. I love talking about concepts and ideas and God. Yeah, that's one of the other one is cultivate good work habits. And this is about being reliable, being somebody that is very disciplined, that you know that it's not easy to let you go or to look for somebody or to replace you in a workplace. That kind of a person is good, that has cultivated good work habits. Trust me, everybody will want to work with you. So those are some of the ways. And one last one that I wrote here: master high income skills. So for example, identify like skills in this day and age. Social media is a high thing. Another thing is AI. People are making money using AI. Cryptocurrency, people made money with cryptocurrency. That thing skipped me. I think this is one of the things that I'm still mostly working on, like making myself the greatest asset that I could ever have, building my knowledge, building my work ethic, building my network, like creating like people around me, building people around me, like mastering high income skills. Those things I want to learn as much as possible. Like I want to know a little bit about everything. I think those are some of the things that this is something that I'm definitely, number 7 is definitely something that I'm still working on, and a few others that I didn't mention, but this one I feel like I'm very, very like low on. Complete transparency. But yeah, we need to fatten our lean passes. Let's fatten our lean passes. I don't want my pass to be fattened alone. I'm sharing with you. Now next time, so the next part of the book talks about the 5 laws of gold. And we will discuss that. Gold, by gold we mean money. So we'll discuss that in details. We'll talk about the 5 laws of gold. But for the meantime, let me rest. Let me do other things. My research is waiting for me.